as you do, please go ahead and introduce yourself so that I can greet you. Please go ahead and share and let others know that we are on live for another edition of Worth the Wait. I do apologize, we're starting later than normal, but here we are tonight for another edition of Worth the Wait. So thank you. I see that my boo Antoinette is on. I see that Shantae is watching. We need to talk, Miss Shantae, business. And so I thank you for each and every one of you who are coming on and joining live. Please go ahead and hit the share button at the bottom. Let other people know that we are in fact on. I'm excited. But I guess I'm excited every week. I'm excited about tonight's topic as we deal with the topic of forgiveness. So please go ahead, continue to introduce yourself as you come in. Go ahead and share with others, letting them know that another edition of Worth the Wait is in fact on tonight. So I appreciate each and every one of you who are on, especially if there are any new viewers on this edition of Worth the Wait. I truly appreciate you coming in and joining in on tonight. Hey Rosa, thank you for joining on tonight. Again, if you have not shared and let others know that we are on live, please go ahead and do so at this time. Hi Carla, thank you for joining on tonight. I appreciate all my sorority sisters for joining, being faithful to this ministry. Hey, I see my cousin is on. Thank you for watching. Again, if you have not hit the shared button, go ahead and do so at this time. Please hit the share button. Let others know that we are on. I'm going to give us about 30 seconds because I know I'm starting later than our normal time. And then we're going to jump right in. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. I tried not to script it as much. And just kind of just flow on tonight. Hey, Carla, I know it's cold. It is definitely cold. Majority of those who I know are watching are Floridians. I know that Rosa is up in Atlanta braving the snow. And it is definitely low temperatures here in South Florida. So we are bundled up. In fact, the heater is on in this house. Thank you, Shantae. So I feel you. I definitely feel you. So stay warm. I can imagine Rosa waking up to snow, right? Especially being a Florida girl all your life. It is definitely a difference. I see that my uncle has joined. Go ahead and hit the share button. 10 more seconds, and then we are rocking and rolling with those who are present. And we appreciate each and every person that will definitely catch this on the replay. Alrighty, hi Gotti, hi Anita, thank you. He is walking around, Shantae. He gonna need, I need his godparents to show up. I'm just gonna say that. I need his godparents to step in, please. So, we are here live on Facebook Live for another edition of Worth the Wait. For those who may or may not know who I am, my name is Shanae Joy Stringer. I am the founder and visionary of Women Who Rock. ROCK stands for Reign, Obey, Conquer, and Kingdom Build. This March 2017, I had my first women's conference here in South Florida. And it was a blessed event. It was blessed by some phenomenal speakers. And I'm just excited to announce that the second annual Women Who Rocks conference will be taking place in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale to be exact, at the Urban League of Broward County on March 17, 2017. So tickets are in fact already available for those that would like to purchase and like to participate, partake. All the speakers have already been selected, booked, chosen, and are on ready for assignment. So I'm just excited about the word that will be released this year. There will be 4 female phenomenal speakers that are coming, some local and some from afar. I'm just excited about each and every one of them. Thank you, Anita. 2018, March 17, 2018 for the second annual Women Who Rocks conference. So I love each and every one of my viewers, of course, to attend. Bring a friend, tell a friend, and make it your business to get here, especially if you're not locally. But even those that are in fact local, please go ahead and make yourselves available to attend. So I'm just excited about what is going to take place. I'm just believing God for great impartation for us from these phenomenal women of God, and that which they are about to do and release, and being obedient to their assignment as being a part of the Women Who Rocks conference. And so I'm just really excited about what is going to take place at this conference. And so the save the date has been released. I'll continue to share it on all social media platforms. So feel free to share, tag others, and let other women know that will want to attend. Let them know that something great is taking place in South Florida. And also, I am the owner of an event planning company known as BLAQ Events, Black Events, servicing individual and corporate clients. And I'm excited about that. I have great things in store through that company. And I'll be releasing some more information, update a website, and we'll be creating a newsletter to further this platform and expand on with this ministry, so that I can connect with you. Obviously, we're almost on a regular weekly basis, but I want to connect with you even more so going into the new year. So I will release details about that effort, things that I've been working on behind the scenes on next week's edition of Worth the Wait. And so I will be glad to release that information to you. And so the other thing I wanted to share is that I am also the author of my first children's book, which is Princess N's First Day of School. It is available on Amazon, or you can get it directly through me. I do have a website. Thank you, Carla. I do have a website. I will put that in the comment section. So if you're interested in purchasing the book, especially for all the young princesses in your life, Christmas, of course, is coming up. And it would make a great stocking stuffer for all of your little princesses in your life. And I also established a t-shirt line essentially for my women, my single women that are joining me on our quest our singles journey, and so those are also available. One of them states, I am worth the wait. The other one says, I am not a girlfriend, I am a future wife. So all of those will be available. I will be announcing some sales, some deals for the Christmas season. I think they make wonderful gifts. And so, as always, and I said it last week, I never asked for a seed to be sown. I'm not going to here, but I do appreciate every like, tag, share, heart, any of those things. That to me is sowing into this ministry. I just believe that God will make room. My gifts will make room for me by being obedient, and so I'm just trusting God for that, and I truly appreciate that. And so those of you who are interested in getting those items, I will also be sure to include access to the website in the comment section. So let's just jump right in. I thank you guys for all the hearts, the likes. I appreciate you. So, of course, if anything that is said blesses you, minister you, your version of amen, if you don't want to type amen, I appreciate the hearts, the likes, all of that, and then some. And so we are going to rock and roll, and I appreciate each and every one of you who have been rocking with me from the beginning. We have been going strong since July 10th was the first Worth the Wait, and here we are at December 11th. So I'm just amazed at God utilizing me, using me, and being held accountable in this process, and each and every one of you who have supported me every step of the way, from sharing to liking to commenting, all of those things. So my mom has also put in the comment section, because behind the scenes I really have been working, guys. So I became a certified mediator by the Florida State Supreme Court. So it is official. If you have some conflict, I am legally qualified, certified to be a mediator, county court mediator at that. I will be pursuing other certifications in that effort as well. So I did accomplish that behind the scenes. So this is my first time releasing that I did in fact become a certified mediator officially 2 weeks ago. So thank you guys. So yes, so mom, they now know. So thank you. So here we are. So tonight's topic is forgiveness. Can you love like you've never been hurt? And so I'm going to actually say I've heard this title before. And this title was brought back to me some months ago. I just did not know when I would have a message on the topic. And I really didn't have any idea where God would direct me with that message. So I think it just came, or it was released for me to proceed with this message right on time. And so we know the new year is coming. We're only about, my understanding is about 20 days or so going into before we hit 2018. And I just declare and decree that 2018 will be a year of establishments for each and every one of you under the sound of my voice. And I believe that I will partake in that same declaration and decree. I believe that we shall establish divine connections in 2018. I believe that we should establish contracts with government entities and major corporations going into 2018. We are going to establish businesses and self-publishing companies going into 2018. We're also going to establish fruitful marriages for my people who have experienced extended seasons of singleness. And we shall establish ministries and nonprofit organizations that's going to have a global outreach and impact the masses going into 2018. And we shall further establish the kingdom of God here on earth in 2018, okay? And so, yes, it's easy to get excited about a new year. We're always excited, right? And we're establishing our new goals, and we're working behind the scenes. And so I'm going to tell you already, if you haven't started planning for 2018, you are behind. So let's make sure we get ready to receive that which God is planning for us, preparing for us in 2018 now. I believe Lakeisha Dixon, the breakthrough strategist, always says, go ahead and plan in advance. Plan your success in advance, okay? Because we know that trials and tribulations are going to come. So you might as well go ahead and plan the things that you're going to celebrate. Already have that implemented and ready. Go into 2018 January 1st with a game plan. You know, we're not just starting on January 1st, 2018. We're continuing to work the plan that we have already established. And so I just declare and decree that for each and every one of you on tonight. And so if you're not excited about 2018, I suggest that you should be. You ought to be. But before embracing the new or receiving the new and being open to the new opportunities, the new blessings, and the new people, we must deal with the old, and many of us what is in fact the present. And so my question to you on tonight is, can you really love like you've never been hurt? That's what I'm posing to you on tonight. Can you love like you have never been hurt? And so I went back and reflected on pain, right? Because hurt is a reflection of pain. And part 4 of Worth the Wait, I did a segment that was entitled "My Pain Prepared Me for My Purpose." And so one of the two things I identified with pain is that, one, pain demands attention, and that pain demands a response. Essentially, pain is an outward expression of what is an internal injury. It may be something that we cannot see, but we feel it, right? It eventually manifests in some physical form. It could be your tears. It could be sudden loss of weight. It could be swelling. It could be a lot of different things. But there is an expression of something that's going on with us internally. And that pain may not actually be like a tear or sprain or something that has been broken on the inside of us. It can also relate to something emotionally that we are dealing with. And that too has a way to demand attention and also demand a response. And so the fact of the matter is, we have all experienced pain at some point in our lifetime. We all have. We've all had our scrapes, our bumps, our bruises. Some of us have obviously experienced some heartbreaks, some disappointments in life, whether it was from a significant other or it could have been a family member, it could have been a coworker, a friend, or whatever the case may be. But we have all experienced pain at some portion of our lifetime. And so I noticed that there's something about pain felt at the hands, the actions, or even the words of somebody who claimed to love us. It's something different about that pain when it comes from the people that are closest to us, when it comes from the people who told us they would love us, when it's not expected from those who we trust. And so it's something about that pain. It has a greater significance almost when it in fact takes place. I would say, even for the women, I'm not a mother, but many of the women who have experienced childbirth, I would rather even profess that you would rather endure the pain of childbirth again, rather than the pain you felt from being betrayed or disappointed by a man who in fact told you that he loved you, would never hurt you, or never leave you. Because that's a different kind of pain. I know some of you probably may have experienced a long labor, but there's something about that long-lasting pain after you have been dealt such a blow, especially an emotional blow from somebody that is in fact closest to you. And many of the men, they may not admit to it, but they have to experience some serious heartbreak and hurt from some women who they entrusted, some women that they love, some women who they were willing to be vulnerable with, some women that they had made a serious commitment to. And so I began to think about my own experience with heartbreak, that pain that I personally felt. And I remember feeling lost afterwards. I remember questioning, like, why me? what made them think that this was okay to do this to me or treat me this way? I even began honestly to question my own self-value, my own self-worth. Like, well, what is it in me that you felt that this was okay, that this was appropriate behavior, that you could do this to me, in fact? And it made me think, like, well, am I not good enough? Am I not worthy? And even at one point, for a small second, of throwing in the towel. And so I don't know if many of you can relate to that, but it's something about that heartbreak that just does something to you. It does something to you mentally. It does something to you emotionally. It can even do something to you physically. You can begin to, withdraw and not want to be around other people and not necessarily want to eat. You find yourself fasting unnecessarily. And so it can have such a lasting impression upon you that it can just shift everything on the inside of you. Or to call it suicide ideations, yes. And so we just have to be real with ourselves. That heartbreak, it can deal a mighty blow to us, right? And that, like Rosa says, is just being real with ourselves. It happens. And so I also wanted to do this message because we are in a holiday season. And I know sometimes, we get the blues. Many people experience, major feelings emotionally, or not feeling their normal self during the holidays, especially when they're single, may in fact be alone, away from family or close friends during the holiday, or maybe they are missing, they experience grief. They have still maybe mourning the loss of a loved one that they're close to, or maybe recently experienced the death of someone close to them. And so I thought it was very important that we dealt with this issue, especially in this holiday season, knowing that there are others who may be experiencing these feelings and these emotions, or that the holidays can sometimes trigger these emotions again. Because now you're going to see a lot of people getting engaged and births coming and all kinds of announcements and weddings taking place and celebrations and parties. And so that begins to trigger some things on the inside of you. And so even for me, this was kind of like unusual for me this year, being honest. I wasn't really in the holiday spirit. My house is not decorated, which is kind of abnormal. Normally by now I would have sent out a message about some kind of party. In fact, someone I texted the other day was like, are you having, something? Normally would have texted out an invite, and I was like, I'm still up in the air. So I haven't really been in a festive mood this year. And to be very frank, I kind of felt like, God, are you not answering my prayer? Because I specifically recall saying to God last year, and I had a really good Christmas. The house was decorated. We had 2 parties at our house during the holiday season and had a good time. And I remember saying, God, this is going to be my last single holiday. Well, guys, the holiday season isn't over, but I am still single. So I know God hears my prayers, right? So it's coming. This is why I'm going to just say this is one of the last holidays I will experience as a single individual. And so I thought about the title, the topic, I should say, or the phrase, fake it till you make it. And let's be honest, many of us have in fact done that, where we have just faked our way through. And the fact of the matter is, you may be heartbroken, but you still have kids that are dependent on you. You may be miserable, but bills are still due, so you still have to show up to that job. You may be distraught, but you're still needed to show up and support family and friends. I remember going to a conference early this year, and Juanita Bynum was one of the speakers, and she was sharing her testimony and expressing, the heartbreak that even too she experienced. And one of the things she said that was profound was, there's no crying during business hours. Because I know on here I have many women that are in business and in corporate America, and listen, you still got to eat. You may be heartbroken, miserable, distraught, but you still got to eat. And Tears don't pay any bills, just like love doesn't. So you got to do what you have to do. And so I even had to remind myself that I may be in my feelings, but there's still work to be done. I'm not sure if my boo is still watching, my friend. I call her my boo. She's a really, really good friend, Sora's sister. And I remember telling her some weeks ago, I was just in my feelings and in a mood, in a funk, essentially. And she was like, listen, you got too many things on your list to complete this year and going into 2018. You got work to do. So you're going to have to get past this feeling, these emotions, and get to work. There's still work to be done. You're going to work and be in your feelings, but at the end of the day, you're still going to work. And so I have to remind myself that I may be in my feelings, but I still have an assignment. I may be in my feelings, but there is still an anointing on my life. I may be in my feelings, but I am still called to do some things. And so I say that to you all, own the emotion, own it. Let the tears fall, have the very short-lived pity party, but you got to get up and you got to climb up out that pit. Because I think about Hannah, and which is whose story I used when I talked about my pain prepared me for my purpose, is that you sometimes have to forget about the pretty prayers, the Heavenly Father, you know, mighty God, of everlasting God, all that. You have to get beyond that. And sometimes you just have to be snotty nose, tears running. You can literally cry a whole river and be like, God, I'm not feeling this. I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm distraught. I'm pissed. I'm upset. I am heartbroken. I don't know my right from my left. I don't even know if I can go on to live to see another day. I need you to fix this. I need you to take this pain away. I need you to heal me. I need you to help me. And so you have to go ahead and do that. You have to be real. God already knows about the emotion. God already knows about that heartbreak. God already knew about that joker before he even said what he said, before he even said hello. Okay? So let's just be real about that thing. So you got to own the emotion. Go ahead and cry. There's nothing wrong with tears. He see your tears. But go ahead and release that. Release it. The problem that we have, we like to internalize those things. We like to keep it to ourselves when we don't have to. The Bible tells us have not because we ask not. Go ahead and ask God, take this pain away. LaShonda says expressing real raw emotions. God wants you to be real with him. He wants you to be real. He wants you to be vulnerable. Tamika says let it out and release it. Yes, let it go. Let it go. Stop with the pretty prayer. Stop with all that. You don't even need your prayer shawl for all that. You just got to sit on the edge of the bed. If all you can do is cry and rock, and when you're done crying and rocking, go ahead and say, God, okay, now it's on you. Now I need you to do what you need to do. Work on me, because I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time getting past this. I'm having a hard time dealing with this. I'm having a hard time accepting this. I'm having a hard time dealing with this. Only you. I know you to be a fixer. I know you to be a healer. You even heal heartbrokenness. So I know you can do this for me. Okay? And so you have to be willing to have that conversation with God. The other thing I want to tell you is that it had to happen. I know some of you are like, what? No, but really, it had to happen. Some of the things that we experienced, many of you who are in my closed single group, and I believe I shared that today, some of those things it had to happen. God allowed some of those things to happen to us. Some of those things we just had to have experience. I know we like to believe that, God don't deliver pain, but sometimes, yes, he do. Yes, he does. Sometimes he does allow things to happen, not necessarily to hurt you. He didn't necessarily do it to hurt you. He actually did it so that you could grow, so that you can prosper, so that you could actually turn your attention back to him. And so some of the most painful experiences that LaShonda says to shift our focus, some of the most painful experiences have shaped us, transformed us, and literally changed us. most of us for the better, and some of you, the verdict is still out on if all that pain really helped you to be the better person, right? You may still be dealing with some things, right? And so, but had we not experienced the pain, the loss, the disappointment, we wouldn't have realized our own strength. We wouldn't realize how resilient we are. We would not have grown or matured. We wouldn't have been able to identify what we really want, nor who we really are. More importantly, we would not have been able to know God at the level or depth that we do, had we not gone through that heartbreak. Because let me tell you, some of these distrust, the disloyalness, you know, the betrayal, the disappointment, all of those things, some of that stuff will literally stop you in your tracks and bring you to your knees, literally. And so you get to a place where, listen, your homegirl advice is not enough. That meme on social media, not enough. That episode on Oprah, not enough. Dr. Phil can't help me. So you get to a place where it's like, it's just you and God. Only you and God. Only God can intercede in such a way to get you where you need to be. And so we got to understand that it had to happen. Some of those things had to happen to get us where we are. As LaShonda said, it will shift our focus. So had we not done it, we would have, some of us may have missed our assignment had that person not did what they did, had that pain not struck us in such a way. Because I realize sometimes we will attach ourselves. Shantae, you're in to say what I'm going to say. And most of all, we would still be dating someone that's not right for us. That's the point. Some of us, we don't have the strength to let go. And so sometimes God will give you warning after warning, warning. They say warning comes before destruction, right? God gives us warning. He gives us the spirit of discernment nonetheless. But sometimes God will realize, I keep warning her, the signs are there, the flag. I mean, I've lifted every red flag, and she's still holding on. He's still right there. I'm going to have to do something, because if I don't, they're going to miss out on their blessing. They're going to miss out on destiny. They're going to find themselves attached for too long to somebody I didn't assign to them. So had I not stepped in, had that pain not been so sharp, they would have never let go. And so sometimes it just had to happen, because sometimes in our own strength, and because we are, especially as women, are emotional, so they say, creatures, we get tied to our emotions. We get so invested in people, even those that are not invested in us. And so it takes that to let go. That which is not good for us, that which is not meant for us, those people who are not right for us. And so I've learned humans will hurt you. Come on, y'all know I'm right. Humans, your fellow people, they will hurt you. They will be the aggressor and then play victim. They will take no responsibility. They will disappoint you. But understand, you could be married and still experience that level of pain. And so you get to a place where you begin to question, how could somebody, my fellow mankind, be so disloyal, so distrustful, so disrespectful? You really begin to wonder, how can somebody really look you in your face, live with you, lay with you, lay claims to you, and do the things that they do, right? They could be your family member. They're not void of this conversation. They could be that close friend, that best friend, that childhood friend, okay? It could be any one of them, because they all claim to love you. And so the fact of life is that hurt people. They do. Everyone deserves love by all means. Everybody do. But I've come to realize not everyone knows how to give it, express it, or even to receive it. And so I did a segment of Worth the Wait that dealt with questions, 20 questions that you should ask of your interests. And one of those questions was, you need to ask them, who has been an example of love for you? What has been an example of a good marriage for you? Because if they don't have any good examples, it's going to be hard for them to truly express that without somebody to model after. Yes, we know they are to love us, our spouses to love us like Christ loves the church. However, if they are new to Christ, or that their depth of their relationship with Christ is not where it should be, it's going to be hard to do. And so you need to know. Like Rosa says, how do you define relationships? So you find yourself connected with somebody. I can speak for myself in the terms of what I experienced, I'll say my greatest lesson, some would say biggest heartbreak, is I should have looked at the signs of who was their example. They came from a married household. And so this often tricks us. We believe that, because somebody comes from a married household, that, they should definitely want to be married and they should honor marriage because their parents were married or whoever they lived with was married. But I will say, and I'm not going to put all the business out there, but I would say the signs were literally on the wall that they didn't necessarily have the greatest example of a good marriage. And so many of the behaviors that they modeled with me was the same behavior that was being modeled by the two parents that they lived under from the age of 2 to almost in their 20s. And so when I think about it now, I can think about it after the fact, that should have been a sign. They didn't necessarily have a good example of a married household. Rosa says, my ex came from a married household and broke up with me because I didn't believe in polygamy. This is why it's so important. You ask questions. You have to ask questions. Because these people will have you believing, or you make the assumption that, you come from a married household, so you should respect marriage and you should honor marriage and you should believe in marriage. That's not always the case, because they don't necessarily, just because they come from a married household, it may not necessarily be an example of a loving marriage, of a good marriage, of a fruitful marriage. And so even recently, I began to wonder if I would be who I am today if I didn't experience that heartbreak. Really, how did that shape me and impact me? And it really hit me when I was, and I've said this, I'm part of a singles group, a Facebook singles group. And I remember on a post, I can't really remember the question, but I do recall my response. And I remember saying in response that, I feel bad for whoever comes next, because all the things that I did for that individual, I wouldn't do again. They got the more or less the best of me, and the moment I hit send, that struck me like, really? Did you really give the best of you to them, and so you don't have the best of you left to give it to somebody else? Did all your extra good qualities, did you really give to them, and so now whoever comes next, they just have to deal with it, live with it? And so I began to, again, examine myself, even here today. And this has been some years ago. And so I had to get to a place to understand that to receive the best, I must be willing to give my best. And that if I'm always on guard, or saying this to you, if the person's not always the best, if I'm always on guard, I may in fact be hindering or shielding myself from all that I truly deserve, because I was always on guard. I was always closed off, or, I was always hesitant. And then I recognized that vulnerability comes with a price. But when you're vulnerable with the right one, it will be worth it and it won't cost you. And so I had to examine myself from that post. I can't keep saying that. I can't keep putting that in the atmosphere like, Oh, well, I gave that one the best of me and look what happened. So I'm not doing all those things that I did. No, the fact of the matter is, the fact is we did it for the wrong person. We did it for the person that wasn't right for us. We were willing to give so much of ourselves to somebody that didn't deserve it. But for the one, give them your best. Be vulnerable. Do what you would normally do for somebody that you truly want to invest in and has truly shown themselves worthy and are willing to invest in you. Don't hold back. Don't hold back. Not from the right one. Because you don't want to miss out because of what that last person did. How that last person treated you. How that last person disrespected you and hurt you, neglected you. Maybe even abused you. Don't let anybody else, I think I said that, or will say that, don't let somebody else suffer for the sins of another. And so we are, in fact, very strong, but I realize that the heart can be very fragile. I often say to my friend, and I've even said it to some gentlemen, I'm at the point of God, how many more frogs this princess got to kiss before I meet my prince? Really? How many more? And so I realized that many people that we will encounter on our journey are tests. They are, I must say, they are tests that I wish we could kind of skip. Some of these people I could have just not known of their presence, not even dealt with. They could have kept their hello and you're beautiful, their inbox message. They really could have kept those things. And the fact of the matter is, they will test your patience. They will test your understanding. They will test your nerves. They will test your common sense and reasoning. They will even test your faith. And so when you recognize them for who they are, it makes it easier to deal with. The problem is, some of us, we keep reoccurring the same people because we have yet to learn the lesson. So God will continue to bring it back and bring them back. You wonder, is it me trying to bring them back until you get it? Bring it back until you get that lesson. Bring it back until you actually pass the test, till you can already recognize them. And so then you're okay, now we can move on. Now I'm ready. Because God is okay, you say you want this, and you say you want that, and you say this is your standard, and this is my expectation. But when Joe Smo with no job, no degree, nowhere to lay his head come by, you still giving him a chance. But that's not what you told me your standard was. That's not what you told me your expectation was. So why are you connected to him? That's not what you put in the atmosphere. That's not what you asked me for. But yet when he paraded himself in front of you, you still attached yourself to him. So have you really passed the test? Did you really learn the lesson? And so we got to recognize some of these individuals we have encountered were tests. And God will bring that thing back. God will continue to give you this test one more time. Will allow you to master it until you get it right. And so every test you pass puts you one step closer to what you want to expect to achieve. Even the ones you failed. You will fail some, but let's not make that a habit. And so remember, pain represents an injury and healing is a process. And you must be willing to go through the process. And so I want to bring it home. We're talking about forgiveness. And so forgiveness is defined as to stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, flaw, or even a mistake. Rosa says, my biggest problem is questioning the list I prayed over. If I love God, why wouldn't he fulfill what I asked for? And we just have to trust God's timing. And I know people always say, be specific about what you want. But I'm a strong believer that, yes, I will tell God specifically what I want. I'm not one of those people that list or express to God any physical qualities. I don't do that, right? Because I may miss out on him because he's not in the package I'm expecting. But I do express the qualities that I'm looking for in that man But I trust God to not just give me what I want, but to give me what I need, because sometimes I may not be asking him for the very thing that I need, but because I am his child and he has created me, he knows exactly who and what I need. And so although it may not be on that list, God has sent it to me because he knows that need that needs to be met. And so go ahead and tell God what you want. And if you want to do the specifics about your physical desires, I'm not telling you not to say that, but also understand that sometimes he's not, that is not being attracted to us only because he knows there's more to the list. He knows there is a greater need that you have that maybe you haven't even acknowledged, or maybe it's something that you don't want to acknowledge. You know, maybe you're one of those people that some will say that you're clingy, right? And so you won't say that I need somebody that's going to call me 5 times a day and send 10 text messages and be at my house every day at 7. And yes, on Saturdays, if we're not doing anything, we're going to be doing nothing together. You may not be willing to admit that, but God knows what you need, that you are somebody that loves attention, loves affection. So he's going to give you that. He's going to give you that. You may not have voiced it. You may not have been willing to voice it, but he's going to give you exactly what you need. So understand that. And so I realized that forgiveness is about self and not about the other person. That it's allowing you to take back your power and your authority. And the reason why I say take back your power and authority, because, I realize that when we are walking in unforgiveness, just the thought of that person's name, their very presence does something to our presence. It literally will vex our spirit. And so it will alter our mood. That's power. It will alter how we maneuver in certain settings. It will change how we then interact with other people if they too are in the presence. I can even say, and it's not necessarily a thing for me to forgive, but I will say I did forgive my ex, right? And so I remember, I want to say it was a year ago. He's now married. And the person that he's married, not putting his business, it's fact, the person that he married was somebody he met while we were still dating. And so I remember that I was at his relative's home. Him and her had walked in the door. And I spoke. I didn't wait till she or he spoke, but I spoke. Because at the end of the day, I don't have any hard feelings. I'm at peace with what happened, right? And I remember she refused to speak. She didn't even acknowledge my presence. And we weren't in a place with a lot of people, maybe 2 or 3 other people. And you know what? If I had still been in a broken or bitter place, or had not forgiven him, that situation could have been handled totally different. But when you have forgiveness, that don't bother you. You don't let that disturb you. It's okay. You don't have to speak, because I'm at peace. You know, I know what happened to me. You know, the decisions that you two made. And that's fine. And I have moved on from that and wish you all well. But when you are at that place where you have forgiven people, that kind of stuff won't bother you. It won't maneuver you. I remember the next day that I saw them, and I was back at their family's home. And I promise you all, and that's why I say sometimes it affects your spirit when you're uncomfortable. I remember going back to the relative's home. I probably wasn't there 30 minutes. And I remember all of a sudden, her and him packing up their stuff to get in the car to go. I won't share their reason for leaving, which was kind of silly, but it's fine. But that just shows, you know, when you're uncomfortable or you feeling a little iffy, how it can alter the mood, how the very presence of that person can shift things. And so I had to make the decision after cutting ties with this individual and other individuals since then, is that I would not operate or live in bitterness or brokenness. And don't get me wrong, I had my days. I didn't always feel like that. There were days I felt like I needed to get vengeance or whatever the case, or act out or whatever the case may have been. I also made the decision that I wouldn't commit to anybody in that time or really date seriously. I probably shouldn't have been dating, period. And that, again, as I said, no, I felt like no one should have to pay for the sins of somebody else. And so I want to share some scriptures with you. The first one is Hebrews 12:15. Yes, Kyla, they were mad. If someone could type that in the comment section, Hebrews 12:15. Let me see if it pops up. And it does. And it says, see to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. We also talk about defile, like what comes out, what flows out of someone is what defiles them as well. And so I had to realize I had to even guard not only my thoughts, but even my words in that season, so that I too wouldn't have been suffering from bitterness. I didn't want that to just take control of who I was, because then not only did it affect my emotions, it would have affected my behavior. It would have impacted my thoughts, the things that I did, I said, the way I walked, the way I operated. And so it's important not to operate from a place of bitterness. The second scripture is Ephesians 4, verse 31. And it reads, and get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. And it's so important that we just do not operate from that place of bitterness. We should not be operating from bitterness or brokenness, because you don't want that to impact future decisions. And when you're operating that place, that's not a time to make major decisions, because you often find yourself moved by your emotions instead of guiding with sound judgment and having a sound mind and having a clean heart. And so the fact of the matter is, when you are bitter and broken, you're not whole. And not saying that you can't find love or your true love in that state. Not even saying that you're not deserving of love while you're in that bitter or broken state. But I want you to recognize that the other party will find themselves, or maybe that's you, carrying more than their share of baggage in the quest of you being healed. And that's not necessarily fair to them. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to take a strong person to be able to handle the weight of such baggage. That's why I truly believe that God really releases us to meet and connect with the one for us when we are complete, whole individuals. It makes it a lot easier to connect with one another. Not saying there isn't someone that won't walk with you through that process or walk with you through that journey, but understand it will not be easy for them, but it's going to take the right person, a person that can truly handle you in such a state. And so when you're broken and bitter, you don't have a lot of yourself to give, because you're broken, you're in pieces. You're not fully yourself. And that's why it's so important to do the necessary work after a loss or tragedy in your life. I dealt with the last topic we talked about was cut the soul ties, or cut the ties actually. And I expressed to you that in fact, based on scripture, we actually do not have soul ties, but we do in fact become one flesh when we have intimate acts with one person, whether it be our spouse or not. But nonetheless, what we may perceive to be a so-called soul tie is really that emotional connection to that person, all because we didn't do the work after the breakup. Maybe we just jumped into another relationship. Maybe we just let the feelings subside, or we just pushed it aside and just continued to go on with our daily lives, never taking the time to do the actual work necessary to properly process the pain and to properly heal. And so it's important that when you go through those situations, of dealing with such levels of hurt or pain is that you should self-evaluate. You should identify the lesson that should have been learned. You should have learned something from that person, or at least that experience. And most importantly, you should forgive. We may feel that the pain or hurt that has been bestowed upon us doesn't equate to what we have done, or maybe it doesn't even compare, but at the end of the day, we are still expected to, in fact, forgive. And so Mark 11 and verse 25 reads, "And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that your Father in heaven may forgive you your sins." And it's very clear. We hear that when we say the Lord's Prayer. It talks about forgive, not only us, but forgive our debtors, right? And so even that person that hurt you, even that person that betrayed you, even that person that did you wrong, you must forgive them. You have to. The Bible lets us know that. Because the same grace that God gave us, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we must extend that same level of grace to them. Remember that forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. So you have to be willing to forgive them. Why? Because God has forgiven you. He's forgiven you for all your sins. So maybe you didn't break nobody's heart, but maybe you lied to somebody. You may not have, betrayed somebody's trust, but you might have stole something from your job when you was a teenager. I don't know. So God has forgiven us. He's offered us forgiveness through the sacrifice of his son. But understand that part of that covenant is we got to also extend forgiveness to others. Yes, those that have hurt us, those that have broken us down to our core. We are to extend that same level of forgiveness. Matthew 18, 21 and 22. If someone can type that in the comment section. Matthew 18, verse 21 through 22. And is actually dealing with a parable of the unmerciful servant. And so it says, verse 21, "Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, 'Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times?' Jesus answered, 'I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times.'" So understand, you have to forgive those people. You might have given them grace and they did it again. Forgive them. Giving them grace and they do it again. Forgive them. Because I was one of those people. Constantly, chance after chance, opportunity after opportunity, leaving the door open over and over again. Same outcome. Forgive them. The Bible lets us know that. Now understand, the Bible don't say go out and hang with them. The Bible actually don't say that you have to bring them back into the covenant, but you do have to forgive them. And as many times as it takes to forgive them, that's as many times that you must do it. But I'm not telling you to go back and just let them continue to hurt you. God is not going to tell you to go and expose yourself to that kind of hurt purposely, continuously, over and over. Yes, Rosa, it's hard. Trust. I know. It is hard when somebody has done you wrong, betrayed your trust, disappointed you, hurt you, disrespected you, violated you, abused you, misused you. Again, I'm not just talking about lovers. I'm talking about family, I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about co-workers, business partners. All of those individuals, you must forgive them. And if it takes doing it multiple times, speak that thing over and over until you believe it. I forgive you. I forgive them. You may not even have the strength or the ability to even say that to them. It may be years later where you can get to that place to voice it to them. But you must be willing to forgive them, because you don't want to miss out. You don't want something to happen to you and you leave this earth with unforgiveness on the inside of you because you let that person rob you of that opportunity, because they done moved on. My ex is married. They done moved on. So you have to do what you have to do in order to move on as well and walk in a healthy place and to truly receive that which God has called you to have and called you to be. So the next scripture says Luke 6 verse 27. And it reads as follows. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. I know. We don't want to hear that. I know we don't. Yes, we got to love our enemies. We have to love on those who have hurt us. Love those who hate us. Listen, pray for them. Because it's easy. You guys understand this. It's easy to love those who love you. That's not hard because you're just reciprocating what they give you. But true tests, true kingdomship, it is loving those people that almost seem unlovable. Loving those individuals who can indeed test you at every level, right? Loving them, it represents true kingdomship, true discipleship. Praying for them. Praying for them. It's necessary. It is indeed a must. I think about the common phrase we hear, kill them with kindness. Because it's going to make them worry. It's going to make them wonder, like, after all I did, they still speak. After all I did, they'll still send, a holiday greeting, a happy birthday shout out. It'll do something to them on the inside of them when you extend such a level of grace. How I know, because I experienced that recently. People close to me, they were downright nasty in the fallout. I said, okay. But it had already been prophesied to me that some people that left would come back full circle, and that they will understand the grace of God and how I truly welcome them back. And it happened. It surprised me, but it happened. Continue to love on them. Continue to extend grace. To continue to show mercy. And watch what a difference it makes. Watch how it begins to shift, especially as you pray for them. You'll see a shift. And so, more importantly than even forgiving these individuals, you have to forgive yourself. And that's probably the hardest thing to do, is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself to the extent of recognizing that, sometimes you do make bad choices. We do, like I said, we're dual nature, flesh and spirit. Sometimes we allow our flesh, unfortunately, to supersede into making decisions for us. But recognizing that we must forgive ourselves. Yeah, we end up having children with that individual. Yeah, we laid with them. Yeah, we went out and put our name on that car, that house for them. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself and operate and walk in total forgiveness. And understand, with forgiveness, when you learn to forgive yourself, it makes it easier to move. It makes it easier for you to operate and go forward. It's easier for you to walk the walk of faith when you understand and you realize that you have truly forgiven yourself for that mistake. Because we will make mistakes in life. We are not perfect. Being a Christian does not mean that you're perfect. But you strive daily to be better. You strive daily to be more like Christ, right? And all us not Jesus, right? Because even he had to say they know not what they do. And the reality is, some of these people, they really don't know what they do. Fact of the matter is, because no one else taught them better, sometimes nobody has shown them better. And so they're only doing or replicating behavior that has been done to them, or replicating things that they in fact have seen. And so forgive yourself. And so I think about when I was preparing for this message, God just gave to me, which I had already been reading. I've been reading about David for some weeks now. And I thought about his connection with Bathsheba. Familiar scripture, I brought him up before. And we know that he looked outside. He saw that she was naked and bathing. He inquired about her, found out that she was married. We know that he, set the husband up to be killed on the battlefield. And eventually he, we know that he impregnated Uriah's wife, Bathsheba. And so when the prophet came and gave him the parable and ultimately revealed to David that, listen, you have sinned against God. You did the very thing that he commanded you not to do. And so you will experience calamity, but he said, I will not kill you. And so it says it very clear that God struck the child with illness. And we see where, David began to fast and tear off his clothes and just was very distraught. Clearly we saw that he wasn't eating, he wasn't communicating with anybody. And then ultimately 7 days later, the child did in fact die. And I thought about the question I posed to you all tonight. Can you love like you never been hurt? And I began to think, what if David didn't get past that hurt? Because we saw the moment that he saw, the servants murmuring and he asked, is the child dead? He said, yes. He got up instantly, cleaned himself, dressed himself. And they were kind of like shocked and surprised, like, you were mourning even before the child had died. But God had, he began to say that, I hope that God had given him grace, but at the end of the day, this was what God decided to do, so I respect that. And so now I have to, go on and move forward in my assignment. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And so I think I begin to wonder, would we know him, David, as the mighty warrior and worshiper that we do had he not got past that hurt? Would he have had the strength and courage to continue to fight had he not moved past that hurt? Would he have been able to lead the children of Israel, the people of Israel, in the capacity that he did had he not got past that hurt? And I believe when he decided to no longer be in a broken, bitter, or anguished state, he received instant restoration. And I want to read it specifically why I believe that to be so. Sorry, I'm looking for the exact scripture. Okay, I can't find it. But anyway, the scripture lets us know that after that, he went and comforted his wife. He laid with his wife, and she was pregnant with another child. And God, I want to say God told the prophet to tell him to name that child Jedediah. And so obviously it doesn't give us a specific time frame of when that happened, but I believe God didn't delay much time. When he got up out of that state of fasting and weeping and anguish and got up, cleaned himself, restored himself, put back on his clothes, and recognized, yes, he was upset about his son dying, but realizing that God was still in control. God still had all power, and more importantly, God was still good. That man went back, comforted his wife, laid with his wife, and was restored instantly. He bore another child. And so I just believe that for each and every one of us, that like David decided, if we were to be like David and decide before the end of this year to get rid of anything and anyone that has either hurt us, led us to remain in a bitter or broken state, or held us hostage from receiving full restoration, we got to make that decision before 2017 ends. I just believe if we get out of that state, God will give us instant restoration, instant healing, because it starts with your mindset. It does start with your mindset. And so we will not let 2017 end and not be free. And so I wanted to share with you some notes about, even when you're in pain or even when you feel pain, you must continue to press and you must continue to push. You must embrace the process. And you must recognize that even pain has a purpose, whether to grow you, whether to mature you, whether to prepare you for that will come, whether to strengthen your resiliency. But understand it has purpose, but do not stay in that state. You got to get up like David. Clean your face. Put on new clothes. Put on some fresh makeup. Dry your eyes. Get out that pit. In the pity party, cancel it. And believe God for instant restoration of the very thing you thought was lost. The very thing you thought was destroyed. The very thing you thought you would never have again. You got to trust God and believe He going to give you instant restoration. I'm believing that for many of you before 2017 ends. I truly believe that. And I want you to receive that. Everybody that will watch this video, I want you to receive that on tonight or today or whenever you watch this replay. And so my answer to you, to that question, can you love like you've never been hurt? The answer is in fact yes. But it takes work and willingness and willing to do what is necessary. Willing to pray those prayers. And sometimes they require faking it till we make it. And understanding that some of that stuff had to happen. We got to be willing to forgive. Why? Because God has forgiven us. So who are we? Our little meek selves, who are we not to extend that same level of forgiveness? Because honestly, I don't want to miss out on anything that God has for me, because I'm bitter. I'm broken. And I have unforgiveness in my heart. So if it means every day I have to ask God daily, create in me a clean heart. Give me a renewed mind. A renewed right spirit. Daily. Daily. But Shonda said, I'm deciding on tonight because tomorrow is not promised. And Rosa says, you need to use all the tools in your toolbox to get up and get out. Amen. Decide tonight. When you watch this video, decide immediately. I refuse to leave. Let this year end. Let this day close and not release myself of these things, these situations, these people. Let that stuff hold me down another day. Not going into 2018. 2018 has great things. And I know we say this every year, but there's something about 2018. And I truly believe those of you who are believing God to do even greater, to really have that Ephesians 3:20 testimony in 2018, you got to let some things go before 2017 close so that you fully walk into greater. But I believe that many of you won't just walk, you get ready to leap into greater. But before you can fully leap, you got to let things go, or you won't be able to leap at the height that God needs you to. So you cannot be bogged down with unnecessary people and unnecessary baggage, and allow yourself to still have some attachments that are not assigned to you. And so that's my word on tonight. Love like you've never been hurt. It takes work. It does. But for the love that you desire, the spouse that you're desiring, that marriage that you're desiring, it's going to require you to love like you've never been hurt. You owe it to them. You owe it to them. And they in turn owe that to you. Okay? So let's not welcome broken packages. We want a fully complete package. And so receive this message on tonight. I hope that what has been shared with you on tonight truly blesses you, truly has ministered to your spirit. Each and every person under the sound of my voice that will watch this video or catch the replay, as I always say, you are worth the wait. You're not a commodity. You do not have to be test driven. God has already called you worthy. He has already called you blessed. He has already called you helpmate. Okay, so they don't have to test you out. You don't have to lay with them to know if it's good, if it's right. God knows what you need. Yes, he does. He will meet all your needs, and I do meet all of them. Okay, and so you don't have to test them out. Trust God in this season. And I'm just excited for you all. 2018 is coming, y'all, fast and furious. But we're going to be ready. And we're going to be free before December 31st at the strike of midnight. And so I just appreciate each and every one of you who have rocked with me on tonight. And we will have one more message before the new year going into next week. We'll do one more Worth the Wait before the new year. And I'll be releasing some more things for you all in preparation for the new year. So I appreciate you all. And those of you who did join or will watch this replay, please go ahead and share this video. I know that something is shared will be a blessing to someone that we know, or someone that is on your feed, a friend, a family member that needs to hear this. We need to be walking in total forgiveness in this season, to fully realize and have God materialize the blessings and the plans he has for us. And so, as always, I pray for each and every one of you. Ask that you cover me the same. And I love each and every one of you. I appreciate your support. Good night.